I was very lucky throughout my college career to have a lot of great no-nonsense English and journalism professors. And I'll never forget what one of them said to me. She said, when you're analyzing a book, when you're analyzing a film, allow the material to talk to you. The material is always a conversation between the creator and the audience. And needless to say, Luke Cage, since its release, has been starting a lot of conversation. In summary, Luke Cage is a Harlem guy with a funky past who was eventually betrayed and framed by someone he trusted dearly and sent to Seagate Prison. During his time in prison, he has to fight in more than one way to stay alive. He gets brutally beaten, and the only way for him to survive is to undergo a risky experiment. And not only does Luke survive the experiment, but the experiment gives him superpowers, unbreakable skin, and superhuman strength. And after he acquires these superpowers, he breaks out of prison and goes straight back to his home in Harlem. And this is it. This is what you've been waiting on. I talked about it with brother Jamar. I talked about it with brother Kev. I talked about it with young Theodore. I talked about it with Tay, Ali, and young Nene. This is my review on Luke Cage. Starting directly at this show's intro, I love how Luke Cage's body is a mirror reflecting Harlem, and how by the end of the intro we see that Lenox Avenue and Malcolm X Boulevard are on his fist, as if to say the history of my people, the history of Harlem as a community is my real superpower. And I absolutely love the theme song. It's very smooth, it's very 70s, it's very playeristic. It reminds me of the song from the Trouble Man soundtrack called T Plays It Cool. So during the day, Luke is working as an all-around maintenance guy at Pop's barbershop in Harlem. And Pops is having a conversation with Luke. He's like, Luke, brother, you've been single for a long time. All these ladies, they coming in here, they asking about you, they pitch and woo. Why don't you roll the dice, give one of them a shot? And Luke over there feeling sorry for himself, responding like a sucker. I'm ready when I'm ready. And then Pops leans in on him like, I see you in here every day. You're washing windows, you're sweeping hair. You go to that second job at night and you're washing dishes. You're playing small, you're being a sucker. You need to be downtown with Jessica Jones and the Daredevil saving the world. And then Luke is all like, what if I just want to wash dishes and sweep up hair? What's wrong with that? And then Pops is like, okay. You're gonna see in my way soon. Believe it or not, you're gonna want to save the world. And to put it plainly, Pops is a great guy and he's a huge staple in that Harlem community. He calls his barbershop Switzerland, meaning people can go there and settle disagreements, they can vent. It feels like a refuge, it feels like a man cave. People can go there and play video games and even get advice from the OGs who are regular customers in the shop. And you really get the sense that Pops is invested in each and every customer that walks through his door, and he's a father figure to many in the community. Now, Luke Cage's second boss is a crime lord, a gun dealer, and a club owner. And he's also one of the main villains for this season of Luke Cage. His name is Cottonmouth. Cottonmouth is a smooth character with a calm yet imposing demeanor, and he's always in a suit. He and the Kingpin are very similar in the way that they deliver punishment. They don't mind using brute force to inspire fear. The biggest difference between the two is that I will say the Kingpin is a tad bit more insane, just to say the least. One thing that I really like about Cottonmouth is that he has real aspirations beyond the criminal underworld. He sincerely wants Harlem's Paradise to be seen as the 2016 version of the Cotton Club. Now, Cottonmouth isn't alone in this thing. He's working with his cousin, Madam Councilwoman Mariah Dillard. She's pushing an initiative called the New Harlem Renaissance, along with a center called the Crispus Attucks Complex, which is supposed to be a center for creativity and innovation for the youth in Harlem. The fact that she's using all these historical African American names when she's doing illegal stuff behind the scenes is just deplorable. So later on in the first episode, Luke finally takes Pop's advice. He meets Detective Misty Knight at the bar, they get to flirting, they wind up going back to his place, and they start sharing them chakras. And Misty Knight, bar none, is one of the best characters in this show. She has a boss attitude, she has this great ability that serves her well as a detective, and in my opinion, she should be over there in MI6 working with 007. Misty is also a great example of how good cops should interact with the community. She has real relationships with people. She knows Harlem. You don't just see her when things are going bad in the neighborhood. So by the end of the first episode, we finally have Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Daredevil, and the Punisher all as active heroes in New York City. Claire Temple is also back in this series as well, and she's doing what she does best, saving the savior. She's another very strong female character, just like Misty Knight. She and Misty Knight have some of the best acting performances in this show as well. If you're paying attention, you'll notice that TV is getting blacker. There's a concerted effort to get more and more black and brown people in front of the camera. TV and film studios are finally realizing what we knew all along, that not only black people want to see black stories, black superheroes, and black protagonists. And in saying that, I'm always mindful as to how black people are portrayed in front of the camera. Initially, when I was watching Luke Cage, I was like, why does a lot of this dialogue sound like a blaxploitation film? And why do so many of these characters have stereotypical qualities? So after doing some vital research, I realized that's how the original Luke Cage comic book was. Luke Cage was actually made by Marvel to take advantage of the rising popularity of blaxploitation films in the 70s. So as a result, they made Luke Cage, who was a hero akin to Superfly and Shaft. When it comes to the music, the racial slurs, the stereotypes, the jive talk, how most of the female characters swoon over Luke Cage, even down to the fact that the story takes place in Harlem with a criminal underworld, is following the mold of a blaxploitation film and the original Luke Cage comic. Thus, the problems that most conscious or woke people may have with this series lie in the qualities that mirror blaxploitation films. Something like Black Dynamite is in stark contrast to Luke Cage because Black Dynamite is a spoof and commentary on blaxploitation films, essentially making a mockery of them. On the other hand, I sincerely appreciate the references made in this show to 90s hip-hop and to African American literature. The most notable of these references is the poster of Biggie Smalls in Cottonmouth's office. Number 1 is a dope picture of Biggie Smalls. Number 2, Cottonmouth sees himself as the king of Harlem. To many, Biggie was the king of rap. Number 3, you see the poster at key times and it becomes a character in and of itself. Number 4, the kids just need to know who Biggie Smalls is and they need to know his music. Another great thing about this show is that the musical performances resemble that of New York Undercover. Cottonmouth's club, Harlem's Paradise, serves as the central hub and/or venue for many black artists in the show. Luke Cage is also reading a copy of Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man. If you know anything about this novel, it's a focus on a black man's journey to self-discovery in Harlem, which is parallel to Luke Cage's journey. And in my opinion, if you're looking for standout acting performances, you're going to be paying attention to Misty Knight, Claire Temple, Cottonmouth, and Mariah Dillard. So when it comes to grading the show, I'm truly conflicted. For everything that I love about this show, there's something there immediately to oppose it. Whether it's some of the stereotypical dialogue or some of the stereotypical character traits. And I know the writers were doing the balancing act of paying homage to the original comic book while trying to make it a 2016 updated version of Luke Cage. But that in and of itself is problematic. And again, I want to rate this show higher because there's so many things I loved about it, but I can't. I have to give it. So this one is a tough one for me. I had to actually come into the bathroom and consult the review gods. I'm gonna give this joint an 8.5 out of 10. So what do you think about Luke Cage? Do you like it, love it, or hate it? We got more movie reviews coming your way. We got more book reviews coming your way. And we got more random stuff coming your way. I'm in the bathroom.